see, that's fun. Yeah, that's fun.
So I'm telling my
So are we videoing or not yet?
Brooks place. Yeah. They advised me about.
Oh, okay. Just check.
I haven't really. There's actually the city's got a storm sewer there, and they got a big little when they did that, they put a grate in his yard. I talked to Brian about it. I gotta look at that tomorrow. That must be plugged. So I've never seen it plugged. I just called one girl off line. But it looks like it's still there. But yeah, if you want to just throw it on the side of the road. That's fine. We did a call to Rolling Oaks to Tuesday. Backfill it, put the ends on. More of them. Within an hour, started raining. Went through the fixed those. A lot of rain. Started raining, the field over there.
We're not doing that for a while.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to all present. This is a special board meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Waukesha. Tonight is Thursday, April 30th, 2020, and we're beginning our meeting at 6:02 p.m. this evening. The meeting is called to order. Would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, Kathy.
Supervisor Kalinsky.
Here.
Supervisor German.
Here.
Chairman Fisher.
Here.
Supervisor Stigler.
Here.
And Supervisor Durr is absent.
Item 4 on our agenda is the open meeting law compliance check. The statement is that the agenda was posted on the 3 town public notice boards, the town website, and distributed to all news media requesting notification in accordance with the open meeting laws on or before Friday, April 24th, 2020. Kathy, can you confirm that that's an accurate statement? Okay, thank you. Just want to encourage everybody at the board table here, anybody in the public, make sure when you speak that you get up close to the microphone. Sometimes some of us don't project real well. We are doing the meeting on YouTube here, so we want to make sure we get a good recording of that. Item 5 on the agenda tonight is notice is hereby given that a public hearing involving the Town of Waukesha Town Board will be heard on Thursday, April 30th, 2020, beginning at 6 p.m. at the Waukesha Town Hall located at W250 S3567 Center Road, Waukesha, Wisconsin, per Wisconsin Stat 60.71, paragraph 4, for the creation of Town of Waukesha Sanitary District 2 at S25 W2 6205 MacArthur Road. The tax ID number is WAKT 1325992. The legal description of the property is part of the northeast one quarter of Section 8, Town 6 North, Range 19 East, commencing at the northeast corner, then south 1,734.80 feet, south 85 degrees 51 minutes west, 443.60 feet, south 83 degrees 26 minutes west, 416.80 feet, south 81 degrees 59 minutes west, 100 feet, south 0 degrees 18 minutes west, 698.51 feet, north 68 degrees 16 minutes east, 106.75 feet, north 0 degrees 18 minutes east, 672.93 feet to the point of beginning. At this point in time, I'll declare this public hearing open. We'll begin, I believe the petitioner is in the audience. Mr. Burry, would you please come up to the center microphone and introduce yourself by name and address and give us the comments that you'd like to offer at this public hearing, please?
My name is Tim Burry. I am a resident of the town of Waukesha, residing at South 25, West 26205, MacArthur Road, Waukesha, Wisconsin. On March 2nd, 2020, I filed a petition with the town of Waukesha seeking the creation of Sanitary District Number 2. On March 5th, 2020, I filed a bond in the amount of $10,000. The proposed name of the sanitary district is the Town of Waukesha Sanitary District Number 2. The work described in my petition is necessary for two main reasons. First, in my case, I had a failing septic system and needed to attach to sanitary sewer, so I benefit from the extension of sewer to my property. Second, although that attachment has been made, it is critical that I continue to have that connection to sanitary sewer, so appropriate administration mechanisms must be established. The public health, safety, and convenience or welfare will be prompted by the establishment of the town sanitary district, because it will ensure that the costs of my sanitary connection are charged and paid appropriately. The district administration will allow the cost to be charged to benefit parties and paid to the district, and then such collected funds can be paid to the city of Waukesha to maintain compliance with intergovernmental agreements and allow the service to continue. The boundaries of the proposed town sanitary district are described in the petition I filed in this matter by legal description and plat or sketch, which is before you today. The proposed improvements are the ongoing maintenance of the sanitary sewer mains which serve my property. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your comments. You can resume your seat there. Thank you very much. We'll continue with the public hearing at this time. Is there anyone in the public who would like to speak in favor of the proposed sanitary sewer district number 2? If there is, would you please come forward to the microphone at this time? Okay, is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the creation of sanitary sewer district number 2? And if so, please come forward to the microphone at this time. Okay, I'll ask one more time. Anybody in the audience who would like to come forth and speak either in favor of or in opposition to the creation of sanitary sewer district number 2 in the town of Waukesha? Please state your name and address and then proceed.
Mike Borchert, West 231, South 5205, Hunters Hollow. I just would like to say that this is a acceptable proposal, and I hope that the town board moves forward with it.
Thank you. Any Questions or comments, members of the town board who would like to participate at this time? I'll go back to the public one final and last time. Anyone else who would like to speak at this public hearing, either in favor of or in opposition to the proposal for sanitary sewer district number 2? Okay, hearing and seeing no one else who chooses to speak at this time, I will close the public hearing at 6:10 p.m. and we will proceed. I want to thank you, Mr. Burry, for your presentation. Proceed to item 6, which is discussion and possible action. Discussion and possible action on sanitary sewer district number 2. That's the topic we just addressed in the public hearing. There are 3 subparts to this: reading the town's findings, making a formal determination, and issue an order establishing the boundaries of town of Waukesha sanitary district number 2. This has got some length to it, but I will read this in its entirety, and then town board members, after this has been read in its entirety, we will have discussion or take action on the item. Findings of fact, determination, and order establishing town of Waukesha sanitary district number 2. The findings of fact are as follows. A petition addressed to the town board of the town of Waukesha, Waukesha County, Wisconsin, requesting the establishment of a town sanitary district in the town of Waukesha, Waukesha County, Wisconsin, was duly filed with the clerk of the town of Waukesha, Waukesha County, Wisconsin, on March 2nd, 2020, before the meeting of the town of Waukesha Town Board held on March 12th, 2020. Number 2, the town board reviewed the petition and determined that the petition was signed by the requisite owners of real estate as provided in section 60.71, paragraph 2, Wisconsin statutes. Number 3, on March 12th, the town board accepted the bond amount for the petitioner to file regarding this matter at $10,000. The bond was filed in the office of the town of Waukesha clerk treasurer on March 5th, 2020. Number 4, a bond in the amount of $10,000 was filed by the petitioner on March 20th, 2020. Number 5, upon proper notice as required by law, including a Class 2 notice as required by Section 60.71, paragraph 4B, Wisconsin statutes, and notice to the state of Wisconsin Department of Safety and Professional Services and the State of Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, at least 10 days prior to the hearing, the town board held a public hearing regarding the creation of the sanitary district on April 30th, 2020. Number 6, the town of Waukesha receives sanitary sewer services from the city of Waukesha pursuant to an intermunicipal agreement, and it is necessary to monitor this service, to manage this service, including financial management and generally overseeing the provision of sanitary sewer services. The appropriate management will ensure that the sanitary service is provided to users within the district in the manner provided by law, and that the charges are made to the benefited parties in the manner provided by law and collected fairly and equitably, and will further ensure that the town of Waukesha satisfies the obligations to the city of Waukesha pursuant to the intergovernmental agreement. Number 7, the town board has carefully considered all testimony and information provided at the public hearing. Number 8, the town board finds that the proposed work described in the petition is necessary, that the public health, safety, convenience, and welfare will be promoted by the establishment of a town sanitary district, and that the property included in the district will be benefited by the establishment of the district. That concludes the findings of fact. The determination is as follows. The town of Waukesha Town Board determines that all necessary procedures for the establishment of town of Waukesha Sanitary District Number 2 have been followed, and sufficient grounds have been shown for the creation of the district, and hereby determines as an exercise of the Town of Waukesha Town Board's legislative authority that the sanitary district number 2 should be created. Order. Now therefore it is ordered that a town sanitary district is hereby organized. The corporate name of the district is Town of Waukesha Sanitary District Number 2 of the Town of Waukesha, Waukesha County, Wisconsin. The boundaries of the town sanitary district are established as legally described in attached Exhibit A and as depicted in a sketch or map of the district territory shown in Exhibit B, which exhibits are attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference. It is further ordered pursuant to Wisconsin Statute Section 60.74, Paragraph 1, that the town board hereby establishes itself as the commission to govern Town of Waukesha Sanitary District Number 2. And then the final statement on that says these findings of fact, determination, and order adopted this 30th day of April 2020 upon a vote of blank in favor and blank opposed, and it has room for signatures, so we in fact need to act upon that at this point in time. So there are any questions or comments from members of the town board regarding the findings of fact, determination, and order establishing Town of Waukesha Sanitary District Number 2.
Chairman, I did find a couple of typos on the findings while you were reading them through. And I ask if the board just decides to move forward on this, that they do that with it being put together by the staff in final form.
I understand, and I saw one of them that I pushed on over. They are not of substance. Can we agree on that? They're inconsequential in substance. Is that a fair assessment? Okay, so everybody understand where we're at? Opportunity for any discussion, clarification on this? This would be the opportunity for that. If there is none, we need not belabor it. Attorney Macy, I'm assuming it would be in order for someone to make a motion to adopt the findings of fact, determination, and order establishing Town Sanitary District Number 2 and authorize its execution. Is that appropriate, or would you put in some other words?
You stated it correctly, subject to the town clerk correcting making minor modifications and the typographical errors.
Understood.
I would make the motion to that effect.
Okay.
With those words.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, so the motion was made by Supervisor Stigler, seconded by Supervisor German to adopt the findings of fact, determination, order establishing Town of Waukesha Sanitary District Number 2 with the condition or proviso that minor typographical errors will be corrected by the clerk treasurer. Everybody understand the motion? Would it be advisable for a roll call vote on this, or is that not necessary?
Not necessary, but it certainly is on many significant matters. I think it's appropriate.
Then I think we'll proceed that way unless there's objection. If you would call for the roll call vote, please, Kathy.
Supervisor Stigler?
Yes.
Supervisor Klinsky?
Yes.
Supervisor German?
Yes.
Chairman Fisher?
Yes. Okay, so that is adopted. We will move on then to item 6B, discussion and possible action on solicitation of bids for road maintenance, chip seal, crack filling, and patching. I think what we ought to do at this point in time, this was previously on the agenda on the 23rd of March. I believe it was tabled at that point in time. I think the appropriate thing to do would be to have a motion to remove this from the table so we can discuss it tonight, and I will make such a motion to remove this from the table. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second. Go ahead.
Okay, my motion, second by Supervisor Klinsky. Any discussion on that? I think it's straightforward. We'll simply do a voice vote on that. All in favor of the motion to remove this from the table so we can discuss it, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so we can proceed to discuss it. Acknowledge Director of Public Works Jerry Noli is in the audience this evening. Good evening. Backing up a bit, and I know and should acknowledge and welcome you to the mix here. Supervisor Kalinsky, we're catching you a bit short because clearly you weren't here at the meeting when we first discussed this on the 23rd of March. But this is, and for anybody else here, we acted on the bids for paving, repaving of roads. This is a bit different. This is out of the operating budget, and this is for road maintenance rather than repaving. So the agenda item is to allow for the solicitation of public bids. Those of us who were present had, I think, about 32 pages of paperwork, which was defined scope of the work, solicitation, bidding documents, proposed contract, and so forth. There were 3 different parts to it: the 2020 slag contract, 2020 crack filling contract, and 2020 flex patch contract. A couple of other just real quick parameters, and Kathy can help out. We have a line item in our operating budget for, I believe it's called contracted street maintenance, for $175,000. We spent a small amount of money out of that. There may be other things that need to go to it, but we have close to that amount of money available in the budget for 2020 to do this work. I'm going to make 1 or 2 other comments. We can kind of open it up. We had a bit of a discussion with Attorney Macy here. He may want to weigh in on it. I think we need a little bit to simplify the bidding documents. I think we're trying to do a little bit too much with base bids and alternative bids and individual bids and multiple bids that we could get into a bit of trouble. So I think it needs to be simplified. I did have, and Jerry may want to weigh in on it, he and I spent some time looking over this. I think, and he can tell me whether he concurs, we are, if we put all of this out to bid, we're a bit north of the $175,000, and we won't know that till we publicly bid it. I think it probably runs a bit in excess of $200,000. I think part of the discussion we need to have, and Jerry, you may want to comment on it a bit, we can either look to pare some of this back a bit to try to hit that number, or we can bid it, and we certainly have the flexibility. If it runs over what was budgeted, we can do a budget amendment and proceed with it. We certainly got options in there to reject bids and start over, but we need to move on with this to get it done this season. We missed the opportunity last year to get some of the work done, so we got to move on with it this year. That's big, broad brush stroke. Anybody want to kind of jump into that? The other thing, and Jerry has educated me a bit, some of these things have to, even though they're separate bids, have to kind of go hand in glove. We need to do crack filling typically on roads before we do any of the kind of slagging or chip sealing or put granite down or whatever. So those things have to be matched up. Is that fairly said? We can't go ahead and propose to slag a road that we haven't done the crack filling on. So discussion, thought, big picture stuff. I think the desire is to try to get authorized to go out to bid tonight. Kathy, typically when we put something out to bid, this wants to be out for what, 2 to 3 weeks, thereabouts, something like that?
Anytime that you decide.
Yeah. We got to give sufficient amount of time to bidding, so I mean, I want to try to get this thing back so it gets done this summer. I guess I'll be quiet for a minute, but I mean, just a bit of a taste of some of that. Do you want to pare this back a bit so, and we're not going to know until we get the public bids, so we can hit the $175,000, or if that runs over 20, 40, 50,000 bucks, is that unnerving to people? What's your pleasure?
My pleasure is to go ahead and put it out on bids with the roads that we have, and we can deal with an over expenditure or whatever with a amended budget later, or reject them if they're way out of line. But we have to start somewhere, and like I said, we canceled them all out last year because of the time frame. It was too late, and I think we need to get going on this. And
So you'd put the whole thing
I'd put
out,
the whole thing out.
recognizing we might run a bit over what we budgeted and deal with it.
right.
Okay. Tom or David, your thoughts about that?
this opportunity last year. And, as he was saying, we can reject the bids if we have to, am I correct?
We can.
So, is there any harm in putting it out there now, and just seeing what we get? Just test the water.
The only harm is that if it is way over budget or beyond the taste of what we want to do, if we have to reject and rebid, then we're further downstream time-wise. I mean, other than that, I don't think there's any harm to it, is there?
I guess my question about this is, the price of oil and things are way down now. I'm kind of wondering if the bids may come in less than we had last year, but
We could
that's
hope.
a crapshoot, I guess, that we're
Yeah.
kind of rolling the dice on, but
We could hope.
we could hope.
Microphone.
The button?
That's it.
I got it, yeah, thanks.
I would support getting the bids out, because we should get some type of numbers back here. I think Jerry kinda knows ballpark where we will be, so.
Okay, are you comfortable with, and we're gonna tweak a bit of some of this to simplify it a bit on the bidding procedure stuff? Do you don't have to, do you wanna say anything about that, John, or not, or bidding procedure? We covered it enough?
Well, I think you're going there, that you're clarifying that they're gonna remove the alternate and just bid it as a package. Make it clear you're just bidding it as a package.
Right. What part of that is we really can't put ourselves in a position to try to use the bidding procedure in lieu of budgeting stuff, and then to try to pick and choose scope of the work and between contractors and stuff is kind of a way to get into trouble. Are you all comfortable if we were to approve solicitation of bids? Are you comfortable with Jerry, Kathy, and I cleaning this up in final form and putting it out to bid? Do you see a further need for the board's involvement in that?
I don't.
Not from my perspective, no.
Okay. Did you want to say something, Kathy?
I don't know how much time I'm gonna have, but I think Jerry, and maybe you'd wanna reach out to Chris to help you with
We
that.
may need a little bit of help from Chris Janelli. I'm thinking even this is in words. We may even want to have him simply put simple drawings together, or somebody in his company to identify locations, look at technical part of it. So yeah, let's include him in the umbrella of it. I know your time is at a premium. My question really is whether the board thinks they need to see this again before we put it out on the street.
I don't need to see it.
Nope.
Okay, then is there, unless there's further discussion, a motion would be in order to solicit bids for road maintenance for 2020, chip sealing, crack filling, and patching.
Mr. Chairman, I would recommend the motion be to authorize staff to, whatever you just said,
Sure.
put out, subject to the town chairman putting it into final form, and then you can use any of the staff
Resources.
resources that you wish to use, but it'd be subject to you putting it into final
Okay.
form.
Who's making that motion?
Mr. Macy took the words out of my mouth. I'll make it.
Thought exactly. Is there a second to the motion?
Tom, you want to do this?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so the motion is by Supervisor German, second by Supervisor Kalinsky. I don't think I need to restate that. Does everybody understand what the motion is? Any further discussion? If not, we'll take a voice vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. And Jerry, thank you for all your work. We'll get this buttoned up. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but we'll get that downstream. Items 6C and 6D, unless there's objection by any of the members of the town board, I'll read these in. I'd like to suggest that we could discuss these at the same time because they're very closely related. So 6C is discussion and possible action on ratifying and possibly extending the town chairman's emergency declaration, and 6D is discussion and possible action on meetings and office hours going forward due to COVID-19. I think you all should have a copy at your desk, a single page, single side thing? Do you have something that says proclamation of state of emergency at the top of it? Everybody got that? No?
Is that this one?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Proclamation of state of emergency. You get that one, David? Yes, I do. Okay. You look at that. This is, it's not the signature copy, but it's a copy we did execute. This was the first step on this. This was March 24th, March 24th. And if you look, this extended right above the bottom, it said proclamation shall take effect immediately, shall continue in effect until April 30th, 2020, 11:59 p.m. So that's midnight tonight, or such earlier time as a quorum of the governing body convenes and rescinds the proclamation. And if you look above that, and this was all related to the COVID-19, there's a whole bunch of whereases, and this was authorization to the chairman as the chief executive officer of the town of Waukesha to authorize emergency purchases of goods and materials, authorize emergency purchases of services, authorize emergency costs to the labor force. All meetings will be at the call of the chairman as he deems necessary. All payment vouchers shall be approved at the town chair and town clerk treasurer with notification to the town board supervisors. So this is the paperwork that matches up to 6C. So the question is whether you want to extend that, and if so, to what length. We're really not in public discussion. Tell me in 3 words what it is or the concern.
I want to know if any of the board has reached out to any of the businesses in the town of Waukesha to see how they are faring and what this town can do to help them.
Okay, I'm going to think about that a minute. I'm not sure. I guess I would tell you I think the answer to the question is no. And again, unless somebody knows otherwise, I think the answer to the question is no. I don't think we can dive too deep into that public discussion at the minute. I mean, that could be, if you got thoughts about that, could share that with the board in some form following the meeting, some communication. I think the answer is no to that unless somebody knows otherwise. So thank you. So these kind of go hat in hand, 6C and 6D. Maybe Attorney Macy can even update us. I think everybody knows at the moment Governor Evers' order exists until the 26th of May. Is that accurate?
Well, technically, his order expired on the 24th of April. He had his staff issue a new order until the day after Memorial Day.
Right.
He has the power to do one till the 12th. I say that just because some boards are looking to extending to the 12th because legally his order could be extended to the 12th. Other boards are extending them day to day, consistent with the state. So there is a policy decision you have to make as to what you think is the appropriate time to extend it if you're of a mind to extend it. And by extending it, what you're holding meetings, so it's not as significant as a community that may not be holding meetings, but this would give the chairman the power to cancel meetings if he thinks that the agenda items can wait. It allows him to, pay bills if certain bills need to be paid. It's just the emergency powers so that you wouldn't need to call a meeting unnecessarily, if that's a safe way to put it, or a fair way to put it. We obviously don't want any more meetings or groups than we need to have, if that makes sense. And so that's really what a lot of this emergency proclamation was written for, to authorize the chairman to make decisions for the best interest of when we have meetings, not have meetings, and things like that.
Two things of note, a little bit to fill in the blanks on that. I think most people are aware of the fact that our referendum on incorporation will be held on Tuesday, May 5th, which is next Tuesday. In-person Absentee voting has been going on in this building, in fact, in this very room since Monday, I believe, of last week, the 20th, Kathy, and that extends through tomorrow at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock tomorrow, sorry, 5 o'clock tomorrow. There will be no in-person absentee voting on Monday. The town hall will be open for voting from 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. on Tuesday. And we have currently scheduled a Board of Review meeting for 9 o'clock here Tuesday morning. Wednesday morning, I keep saying Tuesday. Wednesday, May 6th at 9 o'clock. We've had a bit of a discussion. Some of that may be adjourned or postponed to a later date, but that's on the calendar at the minute. So then even one of the other questions is, and I think most of you are aware of the fact, I actually closed Town Hall to the public here, I believe it was April 8th, the day after the regular spring election. Business was being conducted mostly by telephone and otherwise, short of emergency things, and then the building was reopened for the referendum voting on the 20th of April. So looking for some guidance, direction, action on items 6C and 6D. What's the pleasure of the board? I guess one last thing while you're thinking through it. If we were doing business as usual, we would typically, let's interrupt by holiday, have a joint plan commission and town board meeting on the second Thursday of the month. If it was business as usual, that'd be the 13th. 14th? Shouldn't be conducting a meeting without a calendar, right? There's a lesson to learn.
Second Thursday is the 14th.
Second Thursday is the 14th, thank you. And then typically we would have a board meeting the fourth Thursday. If my math is any good, that'd be the 28th. So thank you for that correction. So thoughts, we need some direction, make a decision. Take either one of these either way you want. Do you want to give authorization to extend the emergency declaration? If so, then that needs to have a date certain for it.
And that's true, or it could be until such time as the state expires.
So we
Couple
could-
of my clients say, we will be consistent with the state.
So-
Be it the legislature, the emergency proclamation will last as long as the state is under an emergency proclamation.
So we could tether it to that if we wanted to.
Reserve a mind to do so.
Okay.
That's exactly where I was gonna go with it. I think that's what we should do, would be appropriate and make it neater and cleaner if whatever the state comes up with and the legislature changes this current
Okay.
declaration, the town should coincide with that.
Okay, so it would continue or resume as of midnight tonight, and it would basically continue until and unless the state directive is in order to
Can we put it till the
terminate.
30th of May unless the state ups it by a few weeks or whatever to coincide with that?
So your motion would be until May 30th unless the
Tie in with the
state directive is, picks a date earlier, is relaxed before that. Is that the essence of your motion?
Yes, that is.
Okay.
I would agree with that as well. I don't know what the state is planning to do or what the governor plans to do in the future. And I think that at the very least, if we limit it to May 30th, that gives us another opportunity to reevaluate it on our own.
Okay, you want to second the motion then?
I will second the motion.
Okay, further discussion. Okay, everybody clear on what the motion is? Okay, then,
It's until May 30th unless the governor's expires earlier.
sooner than that, correct. So, you can put together the proclamation with that wording, and I'll sign it, okay? Assuming the motion passes. Everybody understands the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. Then, I'm not sure, does that well, let's talk for a minute then. Discussion, possible action on meetings and office hours going forward. I guess you in essence gave me the authorization to make those decisions, but I would certainly, I guess, look for some input on that. I think it's not inappropriate for me to ask for input, even though that decision is ultimately mine. So any thoughts about office hours? Do we close the building to the public and do business electronically? Do we remain open? Kathy, you may have some thoughts. I mean, you're more than welcome to weigh in.
Well, I think we'd be fine with the hours closed. I think the public are prepared for that. That's just what the county's doing. We do have a bell out front if somebody needs our attention. It rings inside the office here. We have a drop box for any documents that need to be delivered to us, such as building permits, dog licenses, and such. So, but it's your decision.
Is that's what you've been doing, Kathy?
That's what we were doing prior to opening up for in-office absentees.
We were effectively closed from Wednesday the 8th through Friday the 17th, and then reopened on Monday the 20th.
I think in large part what the staff would be looking for is guidance as to whether if the majority of you are uncomfortable having the meetings as it's structured here, you would need to let them know. Don't ever call a meeting. And that's not the direction that he's headed. If you're comfortable with having meetings on a much needed basis, when the meetings are absolutely necessary, that's the kind of guidance he needs to know. Don't call them unless you need to call them. If you need to call them, just like don't open the hall unless we have to open it for absentee ballots. If you like the status quo, I think that's what he needs to know. If you want to be more restrictive, he needs to know that. You know, is that a fair statement, Mr. Chairman?
Sure. Yeah, I don't think we need to be more restrictive. I'm fine with this arrangement right here, right now, as far as I'm concerned. And we need to do this as a needed basis, obviously, to pay bills and take care of some certain business like this bid forms to get those out. So if we continue to do what we're doing, I think it's fine with me.
I'm fine with that, because there is time-sensitive material with equipment purchases or whatnot also, and different things with the town and fire department, so. But the way it is right now, I'm fine with it.
We did, while people are even thinking and pondering here, we did close the yard waste site here, which was to have had opened as of the 1st of April, I believe. Closed that, and that will be reopening on Saturday here, the day after tomorrow. Made that decision. I think that's accurate, right, Kathy? And we've had that discussion. We've had a lot of people
Yes, that's correct.
asking for that. That is typically manned by people from Advance Disposal, and I think we have reason to believe that they will be making sure that some appropriate procedures are in place for distancing and so forth. I think they're prepared to do that. Is that your understanding?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
In addition,
Yeah, go ahead.
since we're there, in addition, on May 2nd, Advanced Disposal will have people out front in the parking lot with a dumpster to take anyone's large items that haven't been picked up at their at roadside the last couple months. This is just to help some of our residents out. They do need to keep their yard waste permit on their dash in order to do that, and it will be the same hours as the yard waste from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the 2nd of May. That information, both about the yard waste as well as the large item drop-off, have been placed on the website as well as sent out in a news blast.
Large item pickup did not occur in late March, and it didn't occur this month, and that call basically is out of our hands. That was made by Advanced Disposal, so when that resumes, we'll be largely subject to their call.
Have they communicated with the town in any way as to when that would resume, or
The reason they did not resume it this month was due to the fact that the governor extended his safe at home. So once the safe at home is lifted, then they'll go back to normal business.
okay?
Another issue we talked about briefly before is the board review on Wednesday. And the staff is recommending, albeit the board of review will actually be making the decision, but Kathy needs to answer people's questions, so we're looking for input. The staff is recommending that for sure, if a person requests to be heard by telephone, that their matter just be adjourned 30 or 60 days to a safer period of time. Hearings by telephone on board of review would be near impossible to do with testimony and documents and things like that. The board may actually decide on Wednesday that all of the matters will be scheduled, and the assessor has given us 6 dates in June that we can set over for hearings. So it may be that on Wednesday, you'll be here for the 2 hours reviewing the roll and doing your statutory duties, but all of the hearings will be set over to another date, arguably a safer date for a lot of people, or a date people may feel more comfortable. You all know, if you've been to Board of Review before, if you watched the tape recently, you're supposed to really be reviewing the roll for 2 hours anyway and scheduling your hearings for another date. So we're not doing anything out of the ordinary. Some communities, if there's only one person, will hold the hearing that day so that they can close the roll, but that's really not what the department recommends. So I think unless someone objects, that's what Kathy will be telling people. You must show up. We'll set it over for a hearing date. The chances of it actually being heard on Wednesday will probably not occur, because they're gonna do their statutory duties for the 2 hours, and for their own safety, leave also. And we'll set it over for the 30 or 60 days to the dates in June, where it'll hopefully be safer. Does that make sense with everybody? And if nobody has an objection, Kathy has her direction as to what to tell people.
Okay, wrapping this up, we took formal action on item C, which was the extension of the proclamation of the state of emergency. D is noted as discussion and possible action on meeting and office hours. I think we've got a sense of direction on that. I don't know that there's formal action or motion needed on that unless anybody feels it's so. Are we done then with 6C and 6D? I think we are. 6E is appointment of Mike Borchert as weed commissioner for term ending April 30th, 2021. That's a 1-year term. Mike is here tonight. We don't do this, you're unemployed in about 5 hours, right? This is, I believe, by our ordinance, this is a chairman's appointment, does not require board action, so it's on here basically for informational purposes. Okay, so thank you for your willingness to continue to serve in that capacity.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Item 7 is accounts payable, authorization of payments of the bills. The bills all except for the Roykert and Melky bill. The amount is $54,631.06. Is there a motion to pay the bills in that amount?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Well,
All right, tell me where to go. Gently. All right, the motion was made by Supervisor German, seconded by Supervisor Stigler to pay the bills, the amount of $54,631.06. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Excuse me, we have to do a roll call vote on that. My mistake. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Klinsky.
Aye.
Supervisor Stigler.
aye.
Supervisor German.
Aye.
Chairman Fisher.
Aye. And then lastly, we have payment of the bill to Roykert Milk in the amount of $7,612.39. Is there a motion to pay that bill?
I so move.
And a second. The motion was made by Supervisor German and seconded by Supervisor Kalinsky. That's what I heard. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Kalinsky.
Aye.
Supervisor Stigler.
Aye.
Supervisor German.
Aye.
Chairman Fisher.
I abstain, so that passes on a vote of 3-0 to 1. Unless there's anything more, that would conclude our meeting for tonight, and a motion for adjournment would be in order at this time.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, Supervisor Stigler, Supervisor Kalinsky, the motion to adjourn. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned at 6:51 PM. Thank you all for coming. Stay safe.